LPS 的下路其实我个人非常熟悉嘛，林伟翔跟刘星松他们打法确实很激进，然后因为我比较熟悉打他们的时候，我会用不一样的打法来够针对他们。
Oh, well, he definitely did in that game, and it got him MVP, so I'm glad that he did the preparation, because it clearly worked.
Yep, especially well in the bottom lane. I feel like Y4 and POL have been doing super well together. Great matchup so far. Been some videos out there about them working together. Backstage footage. Feels like Y4 has been a great addition to the team.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, a refresher for POL.
Hey, we're talking about shoes to fill, you know, you were talking about the mid lane with Yuki, but then you look at the bottom lane, like, following up from a player like him, it's just like, oh, well, Y4, you know, you were coming off the bench of one team and then coming onto the starting roster in front of Imp, and it's just like, oh, okay. But Y4's doing great recently.
Yeah, best setup you could possibly have, being behind Uzi for so long, then coming into LGD, a team that felt broken at the time. So it felt like an easy step for him. You know, come into the lineup, and sure, he's following up Imp, so that's some pressure, but for him, he's a confident player. So for a confident player coming on a world champion, or at least MSI champion lineup, then
soon to be world champions.
We'll see about that. And then for him, feels like there was no pressure for him to perform, so he's just performing that much better.
Yeah, that's true. And Y4 as well, I think in terms of mechanics, I mean, like, RNG would not put him there in the first place if he wasn't mechanically talented to be able to come in for, you know, when necessary. At the same time, like, they have Abel there, Y4, in fact, they just have an army of AD carriers behind Uzi, to be fair. But no, Y4's mechanics great, on point. At the same time, we saw him in the meta moving towards more of the mages into the bottom lane, and he was the first one to bring Orianna down there. In fact, as Orianna was banned in this first game in this series, like, it's something to be feared, and for Y4 to be doing that on his first split on LGD, actually really nice to see.
Yeah, love to see it. And so for LGD, picking up a few wins in Hangzhou, which is great to see, refresh for the lineup, and I think that the positive improvement from the bottom lane, the outstanding performance in the mid lane, also helping out top lane a little bit. I mean, across the board, it's been working well for them. They've always had the stellar talent on the roster. Jinu's always been a member in the team that you would expect greatness out of him, coming up with great carry picks. Last time was on a tank, but this time it's so much diversity that he's confident no matter what he plays. So I'd love to see the Riven. Might not happen, but then on red side, hopefully.
I'm just saying, hashtag free Jinu in the top lane.
I mean, he played Quinn. He played Ignite Quinn.
He did play
That's
Ignite Quinn.
insane, dog.
Yeah, that's fair. But
that's
then,
insane.
Yeah, but the Quins that we've seen so far in the split have been locked into their lanes because the other team sees them. It's like, all right, let's just completely lock down the Quinn, and then you can't roam at all.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of it is in lane pressure. So you have a ranged 80 carry in the top lane that has a passive that just gives you added damage on top of that. Quinn ain't gonna be unhappy of sticking in the lane. It all depends on how much jungle attention she's getting. So the support, so he's like, hey, you know what? Back up off my top lane. You better get out of here. That's just, you know, rough talk the enemy jungler and run him off.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be a Quinn that can actually just stick and try and deny the enemy top laner CS. Or you could be that Quinn that actually does look for roams mid lane. I think Quinn, how she's used, you should stay in lane a little bit longer, about 8 minutes. Then you can actually look for plays when you have your first few lethality items.
Yeah, especially if you're going for phase rush as well. I believe in that game he went for phase rush looking for the split push anyways. But we have also seen a second Quinn come out into the top lane. One was against Nala, one was against the Darius matchup. Really, really strong up there. So I'd like to see him just pick that one again. That would be great. Or even go back to, as you said, you know, one of his OG picks like the Riven. Even the Fiora. I'd settle for a Fiora.
Doesn't feel like he's pressed to go towards the carries any longer, though I would love to see it, especially since Yuki has been forming so consistently.
Yeah. Too many carries. Spoil the broth. As we get into champion site number 2, LGD will take away the Rakan. Like to see it. Kindred and the Nocturne actually have none of that jungle shenanigans. Talia will be the ban out against LGD, followed by Yasuo and of course the Aatrox. Aatrox has been firmly in ban prison for the last several weeks.
I was about to say Zoe being left up, use that if he's going to get a hand on him once again. I wonder if FPX are going to be comfortable going back on the LeBlanc matchup, knowing that they don't have the Talia to back her up. No Talia, no Kindred. What jungler do you have in this situation? I would say a Trundle pick would make a lot of sense, but then you would be a lot more reserved if you're cool with the matchup. Maybe Talon, you know, give me a Talon pick.
Yeah. 100%. you know, cool can play. And in fact, all our talent players so far have been absolutely fantastic. I mean, usually they get it in one game and then the enemy team's like, nah, and then they'll ban it for the rest of the series. So cool is one of those players. Trundle was indeed the pick at the end of the day, as you were just mentioning here, Raz, for FPX, and Swain will also be picked up early as well. Nice little flex pick for themselves.
A lot of safety here in the bottom lane of Varus and Tahm. Now, Varus is a great early pick. Expecting that it's going to be a Swain bottom lane, we'll have to see which one it is. If it's going to be an Orianna bottom lane, I still favor the Varus here. The evolution of a Varus build going towards more lethality Comet means that the added range that mages have, the added damage that they would have, it's actually nullified by the early lethality. So let's just see what Y4 ends up going here once he understands what lanes he's going up against.
Absolutely. I also like the Orianna coming in here from FPX though, because it's both a denial from Y4 as well as a nice pick for themselves, but probably needs something for that ball to go on top of. I think LGD are aware of this. They'll take away the Kled. FPX are actually going to ban the Camille away themselves and the Gragas.
Yeah, we'll have to see what ended up. That being said, saw KT pick up a Varus mid once. I know there's a Zoe out there, but we've seen Shahu play bottom lane Zoe. Yep. Just putting that out there, that there's still so much flexibility on the blue side of things. So there's going to be a lot of diverse bans on FPX. I understand they're going straight towards the jungle with the Gragas and the Camille, but you got to wonder what lane matchup you're going into. Really crucial if you want to get the early game lead.
Yeah, definitely. Mundo going to be the final ban there actually towards Gimgoon. It is usually pretty likely that Gimgoon will look towards tanks later on into the draft or the series if they start losing the early ones, but not as much as other top lanes, I will say. It's not usually as much of a knee-jerk reaction. That being said, Shen has now been picked up for themselves.
A lot of shielding, a lot of protection. Maybe this last pick is going towards LWX here. That's interesting that we've looked towards the Swain and started to realize that it could be a Gimgoon Swain, be a
cool Swain.
Yeah. There's a lot of flexibility here, and I actually think that FPX are holding on their AD carry. When they've done this in the past, it's to allow LWX to go towards a Vayne pick. He actually has a really deep champion pool that he's more willing to break out here. So if he does, I think this is a bad opportunity to do that, because Varus and Tahm a lot of lockdown there.
Yeah, for sure. But they are setting up for something interesting, and actually, I think there's a good opportunity they look for a carry in the top side as well. Say they look for a Swain into LWX, then place like either the Orianna alongside it or the Shen, Orianna in the mid lane, then a carry in the top lane. And then they actually put focus onto Gimgoon. I think there's a possibility they do that too. That being said, LGD will pick up the Skarner and the Ryze in the mid lane. So you're talking about this lockdown, well that's going to add to it. Hey, there you go, there's a Jace coming in for FPX.
So the Ryze is actually a blind pick Ryze for top lane. So in this situation, that's where FPX start to wonder what's their best pick here. Ryze is not often put in top lane unless if you're Flandre. And then in those situations, you just have to really start to dig in what range matchup properly works here. A lot of teams would just kind of give that up and say, we'll go straight for a tank top laner and try to just all in on bruiser fights. Gimgoon goes on towards the Ryze, incredibly risky because that lockdown for Ryze sets up well for ganks. So for LWX, gank potential top side is insane. And it has to be Alex that helps out Gimgoon in the early on stages.
Yeah, important for them. I was half expecting Gimgoon to pick up Irelia, honestly. Irelia can do well into the Ryze even by herself as long as she's kept in the 1 versus 1, but goes for something he's comfortable with in the form of the Jace. I actually remember there was a Jace game, I think it was by Gimgoon, who just like popped off in the early game. It was actually, no, it was by SOFM. He was Jace jungle, of course he was. And he just completely demolished them. Then stalled towards the mid game because they actually couldn't find ways to actually finish off the game or properly utilize the Jace. And the team they were facing at the time really absorbed the pressure really well from that pick. So I guess the question I have here is whether, you know, FPX can actually close with this one, because I don't look at FPX and I'm like, this is a team that closes, you know, and like they'll have the pressure in the early game like they did with the Taliyah, but I see it like the same problem, different lane.
Yeah, this case, all in on seems like to be Gimgoon. In the past, it hasn't worked well. In fact, not a lot has worked well with them, but for them to be going on towards Gimgoon must be a lot of confidence in how their early game structure has been favoring him early on. So to your point, now with the early vision control helping out Gimgoon, they feel like they can actually play carries and understand that he's not going to find such a massive deficit early on. So while the gank pressure is there top side, I would wonder how Skarner is going to be played here. We saw how Nocturne was played by Amy. He's very aggressive no matter what level 6 champion he has. And so you could liably play the same way. I think Amy's going to take some heat from last game and start to farm it up early, because he doesn't want to find himself in that kind of position ever again.
I think so. At the same time, he's got his hands on Skarner, so we'll see how well he does. The other big Skarner in the league is definitely Chieftain, so we'll see how he does with this one as we get into our second game here between LGD and FPX as I give it over to Hangzhou. Uh-oh. That's fine, he's a tongue catch.
Didn't know there was a member in there, threw out a tongue, but you know, the ninja just kind of didn't recognize it.
Yeah, he's not a ninja. I mean, he doesn't really sneak, does he? He like yells at people and taunts them and wants people to hit him.
Wait a minute, Shen does?
Yeah.
The only time he yells is when he's pressing his ultimate.
I mean, how else are you gonna taunt someone? Like, running past someone is not gonna taunt them, is it? Like, I feel like as he's dashing through them, he
whispers it.
Yeah, he whispers by their ear. It's just like, yeah. And they're like, what did you say to me? And then they want to hit him.
There we go. And he's the kind of troll that doesn't actually tell you what he actually said.
Yeah.
If you heard it the first time, that's the only time you're hearing it.
Yeah.
So the answer to the question of Varus, though, it's a Comet Varus, it's lethality Varus. The insufferable one where you really don't win lane versus it. So you are Swain and Shen in this kill lane. You're going to have to be really confident in the taunt that you have here. So expect them to be under towers often. They really shouldn't have any time where they push out.
What do you reckon Shen says to Varus when he dashes past? Oh, he's found him. Drags him back once again. Really nice play there by LWX and Chris.
I heard a little bit of it.
Music video sucks.
That too.
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of Yo Mama, and I think that's well enough. It probably extends the taunt time. It's pretty OP.
That's true. Amy is going to find the crab right here. Ah, yes. 15 gold in the bank. Think of how valuable that crab is in the early game when you also get a Spire on top of that.
There we go.
Crazy. Gimgun in top lane is going to be the person we're going to be looking towards absolutely in the early game. He's getting the push down into the top lane. Alex is, of course, covering him, being on this trundle.
One thing to take note of, must have had a poor trade because, of course, doesn't have the HP. But he has Corrupting Potion, and remember, for Rise to actually trade up, has to go for mana. That being said, Cool is getting opened
up. Bit of a trade in the mid lane. I don't know if Yuki's winning this one. Oh, he's got the heal. Cool has to flash away from that one.
And that's what's incredibly annoying to deal with when it comes to Zoe players. Because Ignite does a surprisingly a lot of damage because you're also taking in more sparkles as well. The passive that Zoe has to back up the Ignite, to follow, is something you never really can calculate, added with the Electrocute. Because you're like, oh, she didn't really do too much. She actually missed all of her abilities. She just landed the Ignite. But why did my, sub 50 HP? So you are incredibly confident as a Zoe player as long as you have Ignite in those situations.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's actually a lot of champions like that in the current meta, where it's just like they can miss all of their skill shots and still just blast you.
It's the state of Electrocute.
It is.
Putting that out there. Difference between Thunderlords and Electrocute. Thunderlords had less damage but lower cooldown, so you can be a lot more reliable with it. You may have a large cooldown with Zoe, but you only need one. Wise word of Spider-Man.
Did he say that? No. That's not a Spider-Man quote.
Just don't question it. You only get one, I think he said.
Oh, I see, I see. Yeah, see, I've been casting a lot with Rusty recently, and he keeps coming in with, like, quotes and analogies, and then I stop for a second, and I'm like, where did you get that from? Or I dig a little deeper, and then I realized there was nothing under the hood. I bring up the hood, and it's empty. And it's like, oh, okay. So I've just become questioning everything in life recently. Like, not taking things at face value. That's some valuable life advice, kids.
Have you seen Hollywood movies? If you question too much, you might find yourself...
Make plot holes.
Well, no, if you're a character in the movie, if you question something heavily, guess what ends up happening? You're the first person to die. That's where the mystery starts.
Right.
So don't question me.
I see, I see.
You might not like what happens by the end of the series.
Hey, I mean, I've seen a lot of TOP play. Curiosity kills the cat. So.
Excellent.
Anyway, so the top lane, Judo gonna get the push off here. This is a big wave, so I assume Gimgun's gonna go and teleport straight back to lane. Yeah, indeed he is in the top side.
A lot of confidence, just because Amy's in the area.
Yes.
So it's expected. Alex knew that Skarner was gonna be here just because added pressure of Jinu in the top side. Send off a few alarms, but just because of that, has to absolutely get out of there.
I feel like the junglers also been kind of like ships in the night. They've just been saying hello and then just walking off into their own respective sides of the jungle, not really finding themselves in confrontations just yet.
Far more respectful from Amy in this game because he has just been farming up, completely farmed up a Storm in the bottom side of the map, moving at the top side. So both junglers haven't really found an opportunity to meet. I think once Alex upgrades, actually he's went towards the Red Smite upgrade rather than Tiamat. Tiamat makes it so you can actually try to be a lot more aggressive. You have the damage over Amy. You can look towards challenging Raptors a little bit more heavily. Not going to happen. It's going to be a little bit harder for him, just going to farm it up. Oh.
Why do you have that?
Yep.
Who bought you? Went for Toys R Us, picked up a Super Soaker.
Look, I'll tell you one thing about my my days. Like yesterday, took a look at patch 8.15. You probably wonder why, since we were a little bit far behind. But just trying to see if Zoe got nerfed in any way, shape, or form. Just her W, that's all I care for.
Is that the case?
Didn't happen.
Nope.
So her W is still RNG ridiculous.
Saw those Fizz changes though.
I love it. I'm a fan.
Because you've been playing Fizz recently.
Hell yes.
Everyone else is going to hate it. Wow, thank you for the leash there, Jinu. Alex just walks up and smites that one down. Wonderful. LGD on the opposite side going to get themselves a free Infernal.
And this is the kind of information you get if you're Jinu and you start pressing up in the enemy jungle. So while Raptor is sure, Alex gets the Raptor, expends his smite, and also information is valuable, so you know Alex is in the top side. Understand as a team that you're not going to get challenged bottom lane. Incredibly easy Infernal Dragon to take. So it's always nice to see you're a top laner be able to place down wards on Krugs. I think there is a ward right now. No, there's not. Unfortunate. But be able to get any ward so you know if the enemy jungler's on the top side of the map, and if you can, at least challenge their camps.
Bit of aggression in the mid lane. Crisp sees that Yuki is low on mana. Doesn't really want to go all in this play. Cool is also low on mana. Yuki moving to the bottom side of the map. Oh, he's going to find the blue buff at the back of Amy. Wow. LGD have taken everything on the bottom side of the map. What's happening, Raz?
It's a trade in sides. You can already see.
Is it?
Yes.
Because top lane is behind as well. What are they trading?
No, but the most important thing about this is that Jinu's basing right now. So what would have ended up happening, Alex actually would have been in a position to pressure the top side because he did have command of that. But Jinu's rather smart in this situation. Basing makes it so there's actually no way a trade's going to happen for Gingoon, so he's not going to actually get a little bit far ahead. So you're right. What ends up happening because of that, Amy gets a lot more on the map. So just smart from Jinu in particular to just trade sides in this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've gotten pretty much everything.
Yep.
You know, Amy is getting all the objectives. Got himself an Infernal. Gets his mid lane no blue buff. Top lane's even, if not ahead right now in terms of farm. And I'm struggling to look at what FPX actually do have, because I'm looking at this Jace and I'm like, well, this Jace was picked into the Rise. You want it to do well early. You want to get towards the mid game. You want to smack some people. But I don't see a whole lot of smacking on the horizon, Raz.
Oh, we'll have to... I was just checking to see what can Skarner do.
Oh, he's still going, because he's going to flash into the Impale. Follow up with the... Oh, he's super dead. Throw up the Penguin. How'd you do?
He had flash. Remember, Skarner could just walk up through the lane, use his Predator and flash to get that kill. Don't know why Cool didn't exhaust his flash earlier. When you see the Skarner, it's not like he's going to change his plan in this one. That's why I didn't expect the kill to come through. Loses a lot of experience, a cannon wave on his tower as well. So, ultimately, really unfortunate. To hit your point even harder on that, if you're FPX, you want Gingoon and Cool to thrive in these lanes. That's why they were picked for them. Orianna is great into the Zoe. His top lane, Jinu, of course, the pick of Jace should be able to deal with the Rise as long as the pressure is there. We'll have to see if that's true, because remember, once he gets his first item of Phage, well, he has his Phage, but you need the Black Cleaver,
and
you can look for dives a little bit more convincingly, but the game's being sped up pretty quickly.
But it looks like Gimmy's going to delay his build right here, because he's got the makings of a Hex Drinker, in fact. And he doesn't even have boots, so it seems like he's a long way off hitting an Ice Spike in the first place. Bottom lane, LDWX getting absolutely creamed right now by Y4, following with the damage, getting multiple stacks on top of Chris. Will look to back away, dodges out of the hail of arrows, but LDWX turns his watch around, sees the Shen ultimate on top of him, looks to go in, but PYL is buying time, looking to dodge the explosion right here, chasing down the virus. He needs to dodge it, and Crispin's like, Y4 gets taken out, 1-for-1 on the Marksman trade. Now the support, looking for a bit of support or combat. PYL, he's hungry, he sees an enemy, misses the tongue, keeps going. Bowling ball minion gets the kill.
That was fantastic. I was a little surprised that Y4 decided to go in dodge mode so quickly. Swain presses ulti, you actually have a lot of time before he can actually expend it, use it.
Yeah.
Takes some time for the cooldown is now available for you to do it. And Shen Sure, the ulti comes through, but he doesn't come in for quite some time, so I think there's a lot more outplay potential in this scenario. So take a look at this. So sure, get pulled in. You get to see when Varus, boom. You see him actually should look for this a little bit longer. Actually, criticism should be on PYL for swallowing him up so quickly. No damage is going to come through from that point, so it's a little bit unfortunate, but it comes down to how the 2v2 gets going.
It is. PYL able to sweep up the mess on the backside though, and the great dodge by Chris, but unfortunately there happened to be a minion who followed PYL. They paid him off. The minion was there all along. He was a rogue agent.
I was a little monk-ass at that moment, because while I was listening to you, there was a fight happening at the exact same time. Yeah. No one does die, but the most important part is Cool does expend flash for it. So, something he didn't use earlier, now comes into this lane, going up against Yuki, doesn't have the flash, so the pressure should be heavily in favor of LGD around mid lane.
Which means, what's up? Herald's up. So LGD will move towards this one with Yuki. He's got himself a smite. Don't know why he has that, but he's going to be able to assist on this one alongside Amy. And Herald will definitely go down to LGD uncontested, looks like. Alex is moving towards the area, but he's going to be way too late on this one.
This is a scary moment now for FPX. We saw how quickly the game ends up turning against you when a tower falls. Ooh. Okay, you know what? Here comes the follow-up.
He's put to sleep.
Oh, man,
Yuki's getting away. Blocked. He got a flash forwards. More sparkles. More kills in the mid lane.
Know what
hey,
that
that's
means?
A solo kill,
There we got it. Every series it ends up happening.
Wonderful. Bot lane though, LWX under attack. Does he have ultimate? Because Chris still following through. PYL finds another tongue lash. Y4 wants to back away from this play. PYL expends the great health on top of that. LWX plan pushing forwards because he's gone into the Ascension, but he's low on mana. He goes golden. He's a big old bird in the bottom lane, but he's looking for the pop. He finds it onto Y4, but he's gobbled up by PYL. He gets the save, and it's all coming up Millhouse in the bottom lane.
Yeah, you know what? You throw in that frog emo, get it out there. There's nothing to be afraid of against a Swain with only 2 soul fragments. So for LGD, doing so phenomenally here, can get the tower, saving their Rift Herald for the next one, I believe. It depends how Amy's feeling it. If he's feeling himself, he can actually hold it and go mid lane afterwards. What are you going to do, Amy?
Lord. LGD are rocking FPX in this early game. Let's see it again. LWX, as you said, 2 soul fragments, and this follow-up at the start from Y4, so much damage.
And remember this. If you are a Swain in this lane, you want to at least have a longer lane so you can get your soul fragments expended. Didn't happen this time around because he got so heavily poked on by Y4. Of course, the stopwatches come through, but doesn't mean anything. Expect clutch save from PYL to just make it that much harder.
Tam Kench just feels like such a good pick for PYL. It's like he can defend himself using the grey health, he can get himself out of the situation with Abyssal Void, he can make plays using Abyssal Void into the mid lane. Cool, this is too many people here. Tries to throw up the sombrero, but that's not going to keep him under any cover away from 4 people with LGD. Drop Shelly in the mid lane, there's no one to defend. Oh, Alex is here, but what are you going to do? You're a Trundle. The only person behind you is a Shen, so this is going to be a massive push coming in for LGD.
Remember the buff that Rift Herald got. Massive chunk on the first tower, but you have to stop it on the second one. You don't have Orianna to do so, and you can see the top laner, Game Goon still top, needs to be here for this one, because realistically, you can hold this one for the inhibitor tower as well. This should be a big parade. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh no.
Protect him.
She's still going to get the charge.
There we go.
Yeah, Shelly takes it down to half. It's fine, because I understood what the team was looking for. They wanted to sweep through the jungle early, take away the blue, get that one to Yuki, who's low on mana. Dragon's up as well, happens to be Cloud, but hey, it's still on the Dragon over to them. But I need to reiterate the fact that we're 14 minutes in, and LGD are completely destroying FPX on all fronts.
Look, it wasn't looking that bad. At me.
Okay, I'm looking Raz.
It wasn't looking that bad until 2 successive plays around mid went through. Now, we saw what ended up happening in the last game when Tom Kench and Zoe got opened up really early on. 2 mid lane towers down now, so the Zoe is just as unleashed as humanly possible. She is the freest human being I've ever seen in my life, so FPX don't know how they stop them, especially since they don't really have any playmaking potential. Maybe they can look towards bringing Swain a lot more with the team, so if they can get 1 pick off with the Never move, then excellent, but that's a big maybe.
We're talking about Swain, we're talking about Orianna, but I want to know what's happening with Jace. This one with this, the composition was built around the last pick for Gimgoon. He picks up the Jace, it was a blind pick Rise, And right now, I don't know if I've even seen the Jace this game. I saw him once top lane, he was farming. Now he's behind the farm in the top lane, has a Black Cleaver. What's he doing with his life, Raz?
Well, the game sped up too quickly, and you're right about how early laning phase went for him. It wasn't as good. Got chunked down early. Back timings were messed up, so then Ryze actually got a proper back timing when he should have been messed up.
Oh, catches Yuki on the ultimate there. Cool, nice setup. Gimku and whole family's here. Okay, we spent a lot of resources, but FPX do manage to take down that Trickster in the mid lane.
There's a trade happening here. Varus and Tom Kent are in the wrong position. They need to get things right.
Oh, Amy stepping up to the plate as well. He finds himself torn. You have too many legs. That's what Shen says on the way past. Oh, PYL, he rotates into the mid lane alongside Y4. FPX, it might be enough to dissuade them or find a kill onto Alex. He goes into the perfect timing. Nice little shock blast there from Gimgun as well, but Alex flashes over the wall. FPX, do they double down? That's the question. History says yes.
Orianna doesn't have any mana, so you're saying that she would, but as long as she tells her team that I can't press a single ability, then they're gonna base from this.
Okay, good.
So good catch to get Yuki. We'd like to see this from FPX, but at least it's breathing in some life for them too. So well done from FPX to get that one kill. Don't see how they can get it again. This is LGD as a team not playing well around their mid lane push. So I understand they're trying to be creative, trying to get the top lane tower, but think about mid lane first before you move to step 2.
The unseen Jace, but the trap, it was a trap on a trap. And everyone backs away.
The hell is the Shen doing? I mean, if you're gonna get the Shen in there, at least double down.
Well, I think it's because Gimgun was like, I'm gonna find the Ryze, and then Ryze starts running away, and it's like, I'm winning, and then he has an ally with me, it's like, oh no, and then the Shen comes, and it's like, now I have the advantage, and then everyone's like, okay, I guess we'll just back away.
It's a full committal though, so you're bringing in the full committal of Shen, so at least yeah, there we go.
There you go, committed in the end.
Look, if the Shen ults through, I was upset that they couldn't double down onto the Ryze beforehand. They end up getting the dive now, but this is a full trade and nature base. So they can't actually go into the second tower. They need to get the hell out of here because top lane's under siege.
You also probably question why the Ryze stuck around as well. But at the same time, LGD are putting pressure onto the top side. Yuki's harassing the wave, harassing the LWX. And take a look at Alex as well, rotating towards the top lane from the mid lane. Amy's up here. And now LGD are probably like, well, we didn't really find anything, let's back away.
Yeah, they can base. One really impressive part of the Zoe, of course, is always sit in that flank position for Sleepy Trouble. And there's no real all-in situation for FPX to catch her out. Ordinarily, the past metas has been the Jarvan, trying to get her out in the side lanes and try and blow her up, or putting her in the ulti, because while she has her own ult, she actually has very minimal ways of being able to get herself out of that situation. This time around, I mean, maybe Orianna ulti, but she needs to actually defend the wave and bounce it back. So she can't threaten the side lanes. That makes it very difficult for them to stop Yuki from just flanking.
Again, we're 18 minutes in. We have ourselves an Inferno Dragon.
What are you doing, son?
We had a Cloud Dragon. I feel like we've got more clouds on the horizon on the forecast for later today. That'll be another Cloud Dragon coming your way. And maybe after that, a spot of rain. Maybe we'll have some Motion Dragons. I4's on his way to the top side. By himself. Oh, PYL's there behind him as well. It's all good.
Yeah, a lot of safety here, and they know that inevitably they're going to put their pressure top side. So you can see Ryze not immediately going bottom lane, leaning towards mid so he can actually make the decision. Clear out mid lane, so if there is a play top side, he can actually just walk there, doesn't have to teleport there. Keeps his teleport safe. So if you are FPX, you should know what's happening now. Wards being cleared out makes it so it's easier for you to defend, but you have to be able to send out that, I would say, defense. Stop him.
Stop it from happening. And ever so slow. Ah. Gimgo's missed a lot of cannon beams this game. I've spotted at least 3. LGD is slowly creeping into the enemy jungle. Here's the teleport actually. Alex finding 2 on the pillar. Ooh, that's a nice lockdown in from LWX as well. Chris will follow through. PYL gets the gobble up. He's on his way out. And now they're thinking about going back in. In fact, ooh, Sombrero onto 2. Not really any follow-up just yet. Shen waiting on his taunt to come back, and Gimgun's over the wall, not really able to do anything, and Crisp is now caught on the front lines. He's going to get taken out by PYL. Gives him a lick. Tastes just like raisins. That's going to mean the kill to LGD.
I like the flank. I like the TP play to cut them off. Issue is they just don't have the damage. Execution was there, but Bull didn't have enough respectable damage. Same with Swain ultimately. Gimgun got a shock blast off, but all you need is just one great Q from Yuki. You can see what ends up happening.
Whoa.
These battle stars are devastating.
Yeah, has to cleanse out of that one. PYL, who's called out behind the pillar. That's a great placement coming in from Alex. No, will be finished off by Kimgoon, but he trades his life for the support.
Yep, I mean, that's not a good trade. Ain't nothing gonna be pushing off LGD from top lane. Like, blue buff is on Yuki. You have to stop him. He's gonna keep doing this. Get him!
Alex, nice double taunt coming in from Chris right here. This should at least be a kill onto Jinnu, if not another onto Yuki. Visions of war, visions of the Trickster, visions of a kill, double to FPX.
There we go. That's what you need. These long death cooldowns, right? I guess they're gonna be dead for a long time. There we go. Word's gotten out there.
Deadified.
Deadified. And the Baron's right close by. I think right now, if you're FPX, doesn't matter if Cool doesn't have that much mana for him. Try and force that situation. At least get the vision down, so you can try and elongate the game.
Okay, we can see that very prolonged push again. Even to like, we've got PYL. We can take him out from range, and Gaming is like, got it, to the skies!
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. I understand that the execute from his E is important. That being said, speaking of execution, what the hell? Flash coming through from Orianna. There's a lot happening live, so while it's fun to see this replay, to see Yuki just doubling down, ends up dying from this. Even though this happens, LGD is so far ahead that what's happening live is even more important.
Yeah, I couldn't see it. I was like, what is this? A replay for ants?
Yeah.
Did anyone die?
Cool didn't die, so he was the person that they were actually looking for. He flew Flash though to escape. So he has no summoners now. He's going to be a prime target for Yuki going forward.
That happened in the last replay. Seems like every time we go to a replay, Cool burns a summoner.
There we go.
He doesn't have any summons to burn the next one. He's going to be dead.
Matt.
The quickest.
You know, summoners are grayed out. His ultimate's probably going to be grayed out.
Yeah.
And then suddenly
that's true. He's got his
portrait
ultimate.
is the only thing you look at. Might be grayed out.
Yeah. LGD found themselves another dragon on the backside of that. It's going to be another Cloud Dragon. It's a cloudy day today, Raz.
Look, they ain't going to care about the Cloud Dragon. The only thing that's going to be useful about the bottom lane are the mages, or the waves themselves. Maybe the mage waves. But the waves that are just charging down the lane. So, ignore it. Don't even look at the dragon. I understand there are 2 Cloud Dragons for LGD, but they should be in the top side, not only for the inner top lane tower, but the Baron that lives.
I'm just saying, I feel like we need at least one Ocean Dragon. Oh, here comes Amy into the mid lane. Aldurex is already low. He pops the ultimate. He's buying a bit of time here, but the rest of the FPX need to rally. Jumps over the wall. Oh, it's on the floor. Sombrero's on the floor. Amy gets called out. He's big, he's small. He's big, he's small. He's dead. Jinnu backing away. He's got a shield on top of him. Nice taunt flash coming through. FPX will find one on the backside of that. Gimgoon, he's a rogue agent. He's on the back lines.
Yeah, it's going to give him a chase. You can get a flank here.
Very
oh,
sneaky.
No.
Oh no! They found him. Run away! Gimgoon, get out of there! Damn.
He bought some time though. I mean, he's dead.
For what?
Well, his jungler is literally going to be up in 10 seconds. Baron is a major objective on the map, so I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, there you go.
Bought some time. Ward being placed. Orianna has a decent amount of damage, so just putting it out there that the smite from Amy may not be all that's needed. Uh-oh. You kidding me?
Yeah, you can say that one again. Y4 by himself. He's actually trading blows right now, but here comes Crisp. Vision of Empire. The great taunt coming through once again by the old Crispinator. PYL gets dragged in. Catch of the day. It's a catfish. Again, another taunt locked down. PYL going to be popping the great health. He's buying a lot of time. Where's his friends?
So this game was clean once upon a time, and then LGD just lost their mind. Why is Y4 so far up in the top lane? This is actually a great opportunity, or at least was, for FPX to look for Baron. Then Orianna took too much damage from ensuing engage with Tahm Kench. They need to start worrying about their base timings, particularly Cool. If he had thrown out his Q earlier and gotten an ultimate across, then that would have been solid. But now we're at a stage where it's going to be a fight for vision control more often than not around this objective. And hopefully that's the only fight that ends up happening. We can keep our minds focused on one point instead of something that's nonsensically going to be happening in the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, it's just a little bit alarming. No, it's
A little bit?
A little bit from LGD. You know, getting called out twice on the top side. Respect to PYL, trying to save his AD carry, who was for some reason farming past the river in top lane. But it's a lot of time. It's going over to FPX, you know? It's like more time for the Orianna, for the Swain. Hell, even for the Trundle and the Jace, you know, his 2 items. It's farming up as well, getting more lethality. You don't really want to give FPX a chance, you know? It felt like LGD was smothering them out of the game. It was like no real chance for FPX to do anything, to be honest. That early game was a complete wash.
worst case scenario now, you look at the items itself, LWX has himself a Spectral Scout. He gets towards the Spirit Visage, and suddenly he can start walking forward a little bit more aggressively versus Zoe. Zoe's initial damage was astronomical. Now it's something that you can actually tank a few more times if you're LWX and allow your team some time and space to fight. So you're right, the game is going a little bit too long. Get the 30-minute mark, and I feel like FPX can just focus on the one pick. That Yuki's position is going to be in compromise a little bit more often.
That being said, Zoe went ahead is a very annoying champion.
Yep.
Bubble, Paddle Star, any of those hit, you're losing most of your health. And then the zoning factor is what? Why does she have all the... I don't know.
Look, all I'm saying is true. She's annoying. But early game, she was a mosquito with give you malaria. She was devastating. As the game goes on, sure, she's still a mosquito, but she's just someone you can actually shoo across. So her team fighting as the game goes on is not as good as the Orianna.
Ooh. Flash coming through from the Varus, finds Chris, but now the counterpunch from FPX. Where is it? Amy comes around the side. LWX misses whatever he just threw out. That was a claw. Gimgoon has to cleanse it. Oh, he still loses half of his health. Chris moving forward, but it's actually LWX on the front, along with Alex. Pops his ultimate, looking for the taunt, gets onto PYL, doesn't find it onto the AD carry though, and they're turning it around once again. Chris loses all of his health, great shockwave, but there's no damage behind it. LWX wants in on this one, but he needs to back away, waiting for the Zonies, looking for the pop. Alex sees the opportunity, Gimgoon on the backlines, raining down hell, but it's not enough of it, because right now LGD are pushing him back. PYL, the one-man flank, oh no! Woo! That's a power int right there. Bring his ally. That's an assisted int. He threw Y4 into the enemy team. Evens up the trade 2 for 2.
They didn't expect that damage. The entire fight would have told them that there was no damage on the side of FPX. I mean, every single time they threw out a frontliner, LWX or Chris, they were like, you know what? We're going to just obliterate you. So front to back, LGD were just annihilating frontline. So they're like, okay, let's just jump in. Orianna doesn't have much mana, doesn't have flash, but then they get demolished. So take a second look at this. Feels like every single time the storyline of the game is that when Cool has flash, he will burn it immediately because he gets picked off. But they can start to play this fairly slow. And I'm a little bit worried on what I'm looking at on the opposite side of the screen, because as we talk about it, Rai is getting run down, but back towards the replay is the initial taunt can showcase that front to back it looks okay from FPX, except that their frontliners get obliterated immediately. The lethality from Y4 and the magic penetration from Yuki was doing too much.
Yeah, now, this is the following play, and I see what PYL is looking for, but look at how low they are. They were both 30% HP, and he just flung them into the enemy team.
I don't know, you gotta give an interview to PYL afterwards. Like, did you expect the AD carry to come in your stomach at that point? Did you think that was a good idea? I think that he was expecting a frontliner in that situation.
That's fair. That's true, actually. He was the one who chose to jump in. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Half of the blame definitely going to Y4 on that one. But I understood what they were both looking for. They were like, well, if they finish off the 3 members of this game, they just finished the game right there. And they don't want the game to prolong all this time. It's actually going to be sunny skies, because we've had 3 Cloud Dragons and an Inferno on top of that. Only Infernos and Clouds this game for LGD.
LGD has been the beneficiary, and remember, the Cloud Dragon's been stacked repeatedly. They are incredibly fast. The engage that they have on Varus in particular, the speed boost that you give the Skarner, very difficult to be able to escape that. Cool's understood this the most, honestly. He's been using a summoner so often because it's the side of LGD that they've been just looking for him.
That's a great point, actually. I just realized, yeah. For a Skarner composition, and he's just like, triple Cloud Dragon, sign me up. Get me in there. He's also got the Predator. This is going to be one fast Skarner.
Probably has celerity as well, seeing that he's on the river, so it's a lot of movement speed that he gets for himself. Damage that follows, so they're on Baron, but it's just a very comfortable position knowing that they can get off fairly easily. They have the tankiness to be able to tank it up on Skarner's side, throwing out Sleepy Trouble Bubbles just a fish. So
and they're heckin' fast as well.
Yes. The only thing they have to worry about is the side lane if Gimgoon starts chipping down that turret, so backing up just for that.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the split push pressure. Use all of my words, don't combine them. Gimgoon moving to the mid lane now. Really haven't felt a huge impact of the Jace. I think the biggest impact I've felt is when everyone jumped on top of him and he was like, fantastic, I'm in melee range. But haven't really seen too much from the Shock Blast. Nice Shockwave. into the dissonance, but I mean, there's no real follow-up, and now it's going to be down for the next fight if there is one. And Amy, look at how fast he is. He hasn't really activated anything, he's still chasing them down.
Yeah, it's absurd. At this point, you can see from Pool, he wants the Rabbit on his death cap immediately so that ultimate can turn into something. In fact, his ults have been spot on, just not any damage to follow it up. So he needs to be able to get Rod of Ages, Rabbit on his death cap and then avoid staff immediately afterwards so he can deal with the frontliners that can protect him up.
Uh-oh, intensifies. They've got the support. Crisp is very dead, and LWX says, sorry mate, that was probably me getting caught by the bubble there from Yuki. And that's the thing with Zoe, she just has to find one bubble, and that's now an opening onto the Baron.
Now, what LGD's done from the majority of this game is bait Baron, so they haven't started it immediately. So going so quickly on towards it might mess up FPX's timing. They're going to go for it.
Maybe that's a good shock blast onto FY4. Chunks him down to half. Baron getting involved as well. The backline fairly softened up. Same thing for Jinu. FPX, I think that the damage has been done. They might be able to return to mid lane and apply more pressure.
Yeah, Jinu took a lot of damage because he was slowed on Tunnel Pillar, so a lot of poke from Jace just landed on him. He does need to base, so he ends up doing that. He has teleport, but doesn't want to expend it immediately. It just means that all of the pressure they had towards Baron is immediately exhausted.
Yeah, important from FPX because the 4-man was able to cover from the fact that Crisp died right there. That was also Banshees popped as well. That was a great Villains of Empire coming in from LWX, but at the end, it's not going to be anything off the back of that. Though, seems like Alex has found an opportunity to go up to Baron and to clear out these wards. Bottom side, Gamegoon is split pushing. On top side, Ginny was just staying by the team even with teleport.
At this point, I would say all of it, if you're FPX, slow the game down a little bit more. It's already technically slow in the sense that LGD should have gotten Baron a long time ago, should have got top lane inner tower. Look how low it is a long time ago. The mistakes that they've had early on in closing this game has made it so FPX can now just say, wait a second, let's actually try and just get our Rabbit on his death cap on our major carry and Pool, and that could just be our ticket to fight. We've been having a close game thus far, so honestly that's all it's necessary for their end. They can just, you can see how much damage is landing on Y4, and Y4 is the only person right now that's actually having it rough on LGD's side. He's a carry that just doesn't have that much HP, he's descaling because he has lethality. So as the game goes on, he loses value. His poke's not really impacting Cool all too much either.
Well, Gamegoon getting chased out here, dropped to half. And again, this seems to be the thing with FPX. You don't know how they get to 35 minutes into the game, but somehow they do. They somehow survive. That's a lot of birds. I don't know, it seems like an excess of birds here because Swain's in the game.
You can see a few crows here and there.
Yeah. No, of course, can be white, but there you go. But FPX, they have a shot at the crown here. And at the very least, a shot at evening up this series. LGD. Yeah, this has been spotted out by a blue trinket, but it's already down to half. They could burn it right here. In fact, LGD are actually choosing to fully burn this one. FPX are turning the corner, but it's a little bit too late. It has been secured. They find Ginny, they put him towards the team. Chains of corruption. In fact, all of the CC spells miss, but Alex and LWX are still on the offensive. They find the claw down onto Yuki. He's going to flash over this pillar. Amy, he's still protecting, looking for the opportunity, and LWX pushes forward, but finds himself a bubble in the choke point. And LGD, they get away with smash and grab. Yeah,
you can see what ends up happening if you have that much control over Baron in that situation. FPX tried. The ultimate was nice out of Pool, and the follow-up from LWX was nice as well, but he didn't have mana, so even if they were to find a decent enough member there, if LGD commit, FPX end up losing the fight as an immediate result. So in all of it, just because he activated his ultimate so soon, he actually had full soul fragments, now has nothing to go for a fight here. So I feel like he was a little bit too trigger happy once again on the mage.
Maybe. Definitely feels like the case. I actually think for LWX, Swain is a great pick for him. Compared to, you know, he picked up the Karthus. It feels like Karthus is like a squishy version of the Swain. But he definitely finds the opportunity to go in. And it's harder for him to, when he is trigger happy, to go way too deep. I remember his play on Kai'Sa. So this time it's a little harder to go all the way into the backline.
Just this problem is while he's still alive, he doesn't have the damage to stop them from jumping in. So if they jump in here, they look for a dive with the full members. They're not doing it because Ryze is so reliably pushing up top lane. They don't have the immediate damage from Swain to make it worthwhile.
Where did he go? Apparently he is a ninja. He disappeared.
I've learned the lore. He can disappear like that.
Holy
He's
moly.
still alive somewhere out there, just not helping his team
Just
at this
not
moment.
on someone's rift, apparently. Good lord, that damage. Yeah, LGD cracked open the mid lane, take down the inhibitor. Amy, I think, is good to go. Bottom wave, there's an army of minions cracking down on that. We're going to be drop shipping our way into the bottom side. Beam me up, beam me into the bottom side.
A lot of minion waves, so this could be an easy dive.
There's like 3 minion waves there.
And top lane wave 2 is going to be hammering down in the top lane, or at least the Nexus turret, so
Whoa,
all or nothing
LGD
here.
works. He's dropped to 10% in an instant, has to react with the stopwatch, but Cool's now under attack. Jinu's in the back lines. Gimgo's on the front. He's like, where's my team? I'm meant to be the carry. I'm dead. Chris comes back from base, finds a double taunt, but he's now getting chunked down as well. They might actually find a route here onto LGD. Nope, they're turning it around. PYL's leading the charge once again, and Amy looking for another target. The call has been made for LGD to back away, but they've still managed to take down the tower. Even though the catfish dies, LGD got what they came for.
All right, Jinu. Jinu has no idea what subtlety means. What is he doing? He tried to assassinate the Orianna when they had 2 minion waves crashing in topside with super minions behind them. You literally could have ended the game, but you tried to get life cool and pad your own KDA. Unhappy with that performance from him. And so now the game is extended a little bit more. And while you could say that it should be easy for LGD, they still have 2 inhibitors open up top lane off 1 push. Another wasted effort, time on LGD's day.
It's just the fact that the game is still running, Raz. And that's the thing. It looked great because we started the game LPX and Junior's like, alright, it's game. The game's over. I could go all in. 1v3, let's go. Looks towards the rest of his team is like, guys? What? Guys? why aren't we winning?
Yeah, so for Jace, at the very least, Gimgoon wastes a lot of their time too, so it's a member for member. Rise is a lot more valuable in that situation. Y4 doesn't have the mana to follow up. FPX understand this, and so the easy pick on towards Y4. They're a great pick composition, so they just find those opportunities now. Looks like they have more time to do that. And they have a good enough wave clear onto the super minions. Orianna, Jace does wonderfully around that.
Good push, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to discount the fact that they managed to take 2 inhibitors and destroy the last inhibitor tower after like essentially a single push, but you're right. I mean, we're still here. We're still in game. We probably shouldn't be. This should be a 2-0 over to LGD in the home arena here in Hangzhou, but here we are, 37 minutes.
I'm not even going to give them that. Like, this composition should get this push.
Uh-oh. Amy's being caught out again. Another fantastic Shadow Dash coming in, maybe securing this kill. He's still alive. Finally, he's going to die to the Shen.
Rise has got this game. They have to stop the fight immediately.
Yeah, he does a lot of damage now. Those tiny auto attacks look like a pea shooter, but in reality, those peas hit real hard into those towers. Gives way for the rest of the team to stop poking away in this inhib. FPX looking to charge towards this 4-man push, but now needs to back away because Rise, being very annoying on the top side, took down the second turret. They're just being torn between 2 angles right now. Now they have no last bastion. FPX needs to draw the line in the sand right here, and there is no tower to help them.
Yeah, mixed comms here. They tried to defend the last inhibitor. When the Nexus is under fire, you have to fight now.
LWX, he's ascended. Cool dropped down to 25%. Chris pushing forward, but he's reading from the wrong page. Rest of the team, they're saying back away. He goes back to the Nexus. The Nexus is low. It's taken so much damage right now. Oh! The Orianna gets destroyed. And LGD, they poke and prod, and they'll take the series. They clean sweep FPX in the home arena.
At the very end, it came down to FPX trying to at least have their last stand, extend the game, and possibly extend the series. Not gonna happen. Frustration on Cool's face. Had a decent performance. Problem was, he was someone that they were constantly trying to pick up. The Orianna didn't have the opportunity to use his flash offensively because too often was he the target. LGD had him targeted from game 1. Reasonable to say because he was such a strong performer for FPX, but not here today.
Another important win for LGD in the home arena. This is now their 5th. You know, they had that win streak of 3, then started dropping games again. To be fair, they started playing some of the top teams in the league, but now that's another game over towards them, and a 2-0 nonetheless, and a direct competitor. Yeah, both 4 and 8 as we came into the day, Raz.
Before the series even started, LGD taking 3 of the last 5 series, of course losing to Rogue Warriors and Snake. Another victory here going up against FPX, so consistency is there from LGD. You like to see it happening. Off the star performers of Yuki, I think in this series, PYL was definitely a strong contributor. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if PYL gets a second MVP performance just based off that alone. LGD's team
He's on
has
the
not
floor.
dropped down. That's
He's
FPX
dead.
dropping down to the
That's
ground.
FPX's cameraman. He's just as dead as FPX Chancellor at their series.
And so LGD just looking so good coming into it. They're vying for the playoff spot, and it was all off PYL and of course Yuki. Story coming into the day was just that Yuki going up against the person he replaced in Cool, and there's now confidence more than ever. They don't get to face FPX too often, the second time they faced them throughout the entirety of 2018. And so, make it count, prove your point. Amy has definitely done that alongside Yuki. Yuki has said that I'm the sole mid laner of this team. I'm the star of this lineup.
And I think Yuki proved a point today, honestly, Raz. I mean, he proved it in this game alone. He got his solo kill.
There we go.
He's now on 13, I believe, unless one of those other janky kills counted as a solo kill. But he definitely got the one that he needed and wanted onto Cool.
And it just showcased the strength of the team. Team goes through him. LGD is Yuki. And I love the fact that if they find themselves challenging for the 4th place spot, if they can somehow take down Suning, who's also having a great time in the Eastern Conference, it's going to be off the back of Yuki. And so I think his rookie season has been spectacular thus far.
What a split it would be if LGD make it into playoffs based on their summer split performance. You know, that's crazy. And it's the world split, no less, you know, coming into summer. That would be absolutely nuts for LGD. I mean, yes, you could say, well, the Western Conference to split around was definitely weaker than usually it is, but still playoffs. Playoffs is playoffs, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of competition around them as well. FPX has actually been performing pretty well recently, you know, taking games off some of the top teams themselves. So LGD means a lot for them to manage to take their 4th spot.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned throughout the cross conference, taking victories versus the Western Coast says that, you know, they are definitely a stronger team in the entire grand scheme of the LPL, but you move into their own their own interconference play. Want to really see how they do going up against Suning Gaming. Those are the real sets that matter for them. Counts double the points, so to see if they can get that 4th place spot, unhand them. I would love to see it happening. I feel like the key members here, the fact that we talk about Yuki a lot, for good reason, for games like that.
He's the guy.
And so you'd like to see the support come through, support lineup of PYL and Amy, and I think in this game, for game 1, Amy being able to play that defensively when he was that far behind was really good to see, because when he's usually far behind, he just makes worse plays. He's not as patient as he was in game 1. I think that that's going to be the key for this team as a whole, that there are no weak links when they go for the 4th place spot.
Yeah, and that's surprising as well, because, you know, Amy, I think he's grown up a lot, and also I think a bit of a fire's been underneath him as well, because of course he's got Regank behind him now. You know, there's another jungler vying for that 1st spot. I mean, even back in the day, they were still Intruder, right? But now, I think Regank showed a lot in his 1st game. Not the entire series, it stopped him out after 1 game. But still, I think what he showed there was like Amy realized that he needs to do more on the field, and that's actually what he did today. And that being said, we're going to take a look at the bot lane play that actually came into the inhibitor take. Now, this was the one, I believe, where we had a bit of an int from Jinu. I don't know if it was like, you know, a big int, a small int, a giga int, a micro int.
You have a lot of sub-genres for
a
this.
nano int.
Look, this wasn't a clean game.
A zeta int?
Look,
I don't know.
It wasn't a clean game in this situation. It was the Rise that came in through. And so there are reasonable points. In fact, I would say UDJ is going to pull these members aside, because with this composition, you should end it fairly cleanly. Super minions being pushed in mid and top lane should just be, you know, slow it down. Y4 doesn't have mana. You don't have to play it just based off the fight. You play it with the minions. Call it by ear. It doesn't happen in this case. There are a lot of situations where it doesn't happen, where Y4's top side gets picked out. So this team still has a whole lot to learn as a team when they have a lead. But the fact that they can get this lead, can really grow with it, is really something to appreciate.
It is as well, and I think also the fact, because I think the 2nd game better demonstrates that point than the 1st one. The 1st one was more the fact that their hands were up, ready to receive the ball, and then FPX just passed it over to them. In fact, they didn't even pass it, they just walked over, gave them the ball. They were like, nice, thanks for game 1, you know. Came into the 2nd, I think they actually earned it in the early game for sure. The problem was definitely closing around the mid game, but as we got towards the late game, I mean, it was good again.
Yeah, it was good. I think that, especially in game 1, it always comes down, I know, good joke in terms of like saying that the game was definitely in FPX's hand in game 1. FPX, by all intents purposes, with the early game lead they had, should have won that game 1. But LGD is showing that they have fight. It's really nice to see that they're willing, in PYL's instance, and maybe he gets MVP again, love to see if that's the case, because being able to use his lead in the bottom lane, always go and help out his own jungler, Amy in this case. We didn't get to see that at all in 2017, which is why Cool is probably like, wait a minute, why was this happening with Islands on the team? Where's the communication?
Did you just Lannister your boy Yuki in the mid lane? You're like, Yuki's so good, I feel like he deserves everything. And you're like, PYL should get the MVP.
No, I mean...
Wrong, Rads, it's Yuki. He gets the MVP. He'll take the man of the match in this one. Congratulations to Yuki. Great play on the Zoe.
I didn't Lannister nobody. Yuki, look, it showcases how great these members played. That they all feel like they have some case for the MVP. In this case, Yuki on his Zoe once again. 72% kill participation. I felt like if the play happened, it happened around him. You looking for something else there, son?
I'm just looking at this. You justifying anything. Either way, we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we're here with our final series of the day.
过去的荣光就留在记忆中 ，WE 要追逐新的胜利。